Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, wholeness and balance vibrations, family. I'm trusting that this is broadcasting, but I'm going to check it. All right, we're live. Okay, wholeness and balance vibrations, family. I'm trusting that we're broadcasting, and I'm just going to check for sound, and we're going to jump right into this. Expect the unexpected. Just checking for sound and the confirmation for sound. All right, let's just make sure it's loud enough. We made it. I just gotta let this breathe because, you know, people are gonna get the notification, and let's just let it breathe. Let's let it breathe. Let's give thanks to the ancestors who are with us. You'll see in every single way tonight or today, whatever time it is in your time zone, when you see this, there won't be no time zones after that. Everything will change. It was bound to happen. And you know, if you're wondering, like, just for those jumping in, like, yo, what's up? What's happening? Do you ever go into the dirt with white clothes on? Do you think you're going to go to the netherworld with white clothes on? You know, like, do you go to your attic and start cleaning out the attic with white clothes on? No, because it's a dirty job. So that's why I'm dressed like this, because I got to go in and do a dirty job real quick, clean some things out so all of humanity can expand, because something has gone on. Like that. We used to play this soundbite. He used to say, I cracked it, he kept saying. He was talking about quantum teleportation and algorithms. But you know, all that's a luxury, man. Children are dying. Women are hurting. Men are losing every single thing about the past and the steps of the sun. We are now at war. A great family. Like, to think we're beyond nature. Like, just think about it. When you see how nature is set up and how everything supports everything, especially when there's no crazy, you know, when the cities and all the different forms are not around that just disturb and take everything off balance over there. Man, imagine, like, I've watched, you know, you see ecosystems just completely come out of line because of what's happening. So again, I'm just letting it breathe right now. I'm just letting it, you know, I'm gonna let it hit a certain number. I guess that number is gonna be like 250. And we're going in, because anybody else that's late, they can catch it tomorrow. They'll be late on their own birthdays. We're about to go into, what is this, a full blood moon wolf eclipse? Damn, I mean, shit, can you put anything else on that? You know, what does that mean? Well, I'm feeling what that means, and I'm about to translate what that means, because it is great that when we believe in ourselves, that's all that's required, and know that we're protected. That's the only promise. The hyperdimensional promise for you is that you're protected unless you compromise yourself. Other than that, you are protected. You have professional technology around you, a torus field. So unless you compromise yourself, you're protected. So what I'm about to talk to you about and what we're about to go into, it's going to change everything. And I'm not the only one But we will wipe out this plane. Meaning that all of these buildings and the oil and all of this crazy stuff that we're doing to each other and to this planet and all of this stuff this plane is done with this knowledge that's about to come through. I couldn't hold it any longer. I was even on the road driving with it like, yeah, this is weird. Meaning to connect everything, to have your greatest hunches confirmed. Now I will say this, because it looks like have we reached that point? Oh, we blowing it. It's blown. I got to start. I only can say this before I begin, and this is why I come just in the priestly fashion and the custom of our people. To get people to understand one thing. See, what happens is, let's give a number. Every 3,600 years, all of it gets wiped off. It's just something that's got to happen. It's kind of like the Sabbath of the planet, if you may. We welcome it, okay? And when that occurs, we move into a certain state. It's not just a prophecy, it's in the stars. Now, by the way, for anyone thinking I'm coming with a doom and gloom, actually, we just came off one. So you actually have 3,500 more years to go from here. So I would suggest making the best of it. If you think that this is going to be the end of the world, it's not. That's not the news that I have for you today. So all fear porn lovers, please tune out now. I'm actually talking about the risen. Because, see, here's one thing, and I just have to address first, because that is the reason why I am dressed like this in a wardrobe, to just address a specific custom. That no matter what happens, those that are aligned and practice the sacred arts of the earth are by oath required to tell all the children of the earth the secrets the moment they are ready to be aware of that, which is the moment they come out of the womb. They can start learning the secrets and the geometry right away. And a big part of those secrets are in the stars. And a big part of those secrets are geometry, but I don't want to go very far. I just want everyone to understand that the real skull and bones, okay? The real skull and bones is really the planet. The skull and all the stones or the rocks are the bones of all of the organisms that have set their strata, set their entire layer here like a ring on a tree, like I was there. I'm in calcium, I'm in amethyst. This is me. Okay, so you need to get one thing really, really clear, that in this great water, which is all that ocean you see around you, where they say the whole space is, what they call space is full of water. This is just a place that's growing up in the water, floating, if you may. A mothership, if you may. But our bones, as we transcend, this, just like a beetle, its shells, just like the crabs, their shells. Go pick up a crab shell and then start seeing how the ocean just takes those crab shells and it just starts turning them into sand, basically. Sand becomes glass and we start again. It becomes crystals and amethyst and all that, and we start again. So you have to get familiar with this process. But see, I am coming here for some specific beings that we gave the charge that if something happens, you must remind us. Meaning that, see, in the ancient secrets, that's why I'm here with this. Now, I'm very proficient in this. There's just been one missing key in Kemet. And I've been cracking that key. But see, in the mystery, there is Anubis in the statue, because Anubis, who is the dog, is supposed to, when reviving the nation, because the Anubis is always sitting at the gate guarding, when reviving is basically supposed to tell everyone that, hey, this is where you come from. Even right now, there's a city inside of the earth. Even right now, underneath all the pyramids, you see they have built extensive catacombs and caves and all that. Why? Because the pending knowledge that, hey, at a certain point, everything here gets cleared off. Everyone goes inside for a while. And then things start over again. And then when those souls come back to the surface, which they can do in many ways, they can pass through the surface like ether. If they pass their terms in the center of the earth, they pass back through. This is a fully efficient system. It's glorious. You know who built this has nothing to do with the buffoonery that is going on with the oil and the power systems and all the lies and all the cheating. So actually, this is not a short conversation today. I dedicate this conversation to my daughter. Okay, I am not playing games in this conversation. This is the conversation that I've been waiting to have, waiting for the time to be able to fully align the entire thing, to check those who have put themselves in power. There are youth that are waiting. These brothers, these sisters, they have the real juice with them, all of them, full spectrum. And I thank them for manning the ship and womaning the ship in the mothership, meaning finding their own niche in this and then delivering the information. Before I even get into this right now, big wholeness to Static in the Attic YouTube page. Brother going in on, the core of just common sense. Look at the maps. The cataclysm that has happened here is no more than 200 or 300 years old. I want to put all this together for the newbies, but man, we are coming out of a great fallout. Why do you think now that the pyramids were buried? Why do you think now Angkor Wat looks like, well, what happened? How do you get a ruin? Oh, they were fighting. I thought they were loving people. How you gonna have all these kids and be fighting? It doesn't adding up. So I want to start this first. I guess I already started, but I love to play around with time. It was a love story. A love story. A love story so powerful I even named this presentation after. And it's Yemaya and Atum. Right? Which you know as the atom. Yemaya and Atum. Because, see, there's no better relationship than these two. No better relationship than searing, hot, fiery passion and squishy, soft, just curvy beauty together. So where all of you came from, I don't care what your color is, how long your nose is, what your eyes look like, because you see all my fish? Do you see all these plants? Do you think they're all from a different family? No, they're all together. So we look different. We love to come out as something different every now and then. But we know we're the same. And it's only when we have those amongst us that keep secrets and seek to divide us do we act in the way that we do. So no one can tell me that logically you want to go to war. You want to fight, you want to kill, you want to have to protect your children. No, nobody logically can tell me that. I can go to any country. Okay? Everybody is doing something here because something is behind the scenes suggesting. We know that. But now it's time to put that in check. So where do we begin? As I said, the stones and the bones. Okay, so after this projection, meaning Yemaya is the deep, because we're in it. This in itself is just a macrocosmic seed. We are deep in this, okay? But this seed is on fire because it's got Atum. These two together create power, and that is the only promise. Energy, pure energy, power. What you would call free energy. You will live infinitely, period. You got to realize that people invented death because they were scared of life. People are afraid to live. Look at the conditions. Why? What happened? What is in our psychological? What is going on? Only few of us, like the Red Bull guys, seem to be breaking that fear factor down. Most people are like, rah, they're scared. all these different things. Like, where's that coming from? Where's the fear? The fear is from loss. Our recent ancestors, many of them lost everything. And again, to get the big time background, check out the brother's channel. Just check it out. Check out the videos. I like to let people do what they do. Sending wholeness out again to Martin Kinney, Brother Sanchez, sending wholeness out to Sister Aurora, lots of the brothers and sisters in their space. Infinite Waters is still in their space. And now we're going to bring it together because we're going to crack something together. It's already cracked. I'm enjoying it. Somebody's like, well, get on it with it already. What is it? Well, again, your history is only 200 years old. And what this means is that everything that you have been told has been fabricated. We just got information systems. Like Encyclopedia Britannica, again, was our source of information. Who wrote that information? Who's Britannica? We know who Britannica is. And this is in no way attack on Britain and London. The people in that country are experiencing something. They're experiencing the equivalent of the wall. The Brexit, I failed. I can't even buy me porridge. This is crazy with the Brexit. The Brexit is crazy, right? The whole world is of the shutdown. What do you think is going on? Are you out there shutting it down? No, you wasn't one showing up for work. You didn't shut it down. So why are they playing the games? Now, let's define who they is. Because some people say, oh, don't start the they. Let me look at this and make sure this is still running. Yeah. Don't start the they. Let me tell you who they is, okay? There's a superstructure of initiates, if you want to call them that. They've initiated themselves. Let me explain to you simple stuff about what's going on with places like these. If you check maps, you find that the world experienced an entire cataclysm where all of that deconstruction that you're looking at, just get it like that. It's like the missing link for you. If somebody finally came to you and say, hey, there was a complete deconstruction only 200 years ago. That's why all these kind of still fresh monuments. It looks like, you saying that's for 4,000 years, 5,000 years, and nobody graffitied on that? No, yeah, it's been that long. But what if, just like you saw the Sphinx was covered, what if the entire world as we know it, many of the populated places experience the shift? Like they say, shift happens. And what if that shift was so psychologically impacting for you, you forever avoid it? So much as like here all the time, and you're like, no, there was no shift. I don't know what happened. I don't know who I am. Nobody knows. And then the other thing about somebody keeping secrets, like we got all these supersonic, we got all this metamaterial technologies, and we got all the people, working in unison to create iPhones, and you're telling me we haven't come up with anything yet but some pictures? Oh, they landed on the other side of the moon, and everybody is not in on something like that? Meaning in on keeping us dumb about who we are? What if there were a group of people who the only thing they kept with themselves was a secret that they didn't want to tell you, which was about who you are? That's it. Because see, your knowledge was here. See, this is not like this system isn't designed to always remind you, no matter what goes on, hey, maybe you missed a deadline. See, some people are like, well, wait a minute, namaste. How could I have made it here, brother? I'm just walking. Well, walk on in then, and maybe look at mommy and daddy, and maybe think, is something kind of still off about mommy and daddy that they may have not have made the first rapture or like the first mothership that left? It's kind of like, think about it, or great-granddaddy or somebody in that line where it still needed to be cleaned up a little bit before they can go beyond the vapor. Right? So meaning that there's a reason to life here. There's a reason that is very powerful to existence. And cracking this reason, man, it does everything. So we're going to crack it. So again, we've talked about Yemaya and Atum. So I brought you the beginning. If you want to be there, pure infinite energy, if you want to remove yourself from harmful dualities. Because I think about the relationship between a man and a woman, they should be increasing and getting more stronger and powerful. Why do they get more weaker the more they're together? What is that about? It's because there's a lack of knowledge about this relationship and this connection and the need for something that has so much power to just land up into something that's really, really soft. You can get that, right? Like, are you a human being? Do you ever experience those kind of moments where you need to throw some water on your fire to create steam? Or when you're so watered, just so low and down, you need some fire to lift you up? So we experience this, okay? But I want people to understand, because there's a lot of people, they didn't crack the metaphysical side of it. And that's great, because we all don't need to be in the same space. But there is a metaphysical aspect to this that allows you to realize, yo, I'm a coil. This is the coil. Just a W Euclidean. There it is. Yeah. Just this little thing right here alone. With this and a small microvoltage repeater. Free energy. Oh my goodness, that thing is live. Ooh, I'm not even playing around. Man, you got to get with those things. That's like what? 20 cents? Oh my goodness. All right, that's like a sidebar. You got to cut that one. Okay, so like I said, you have some millivolts, right? And the moment you run your volts down a copper coil, as long as the coil's wrapped tight, enamel, insulated, you need an insulated coil. Other people are like, hey, you got to have insulation on that. I understand what the ancestors did with insulation. Okay, so I guess we're going to have fun tonight. Let me get my board here together. Maybe I'll turn these lights up a little bit. That'll be great. Kozar, we will start here. Because it's important to remember, because we're going deep. We're going deep. It's important to remember that there were a group of people that had already become so proficient in banking and developing cities that they built an entire nation out somewhere past Russia. And it behooved them to remove that nation from history, because after that they needed to operate in secrecy, because they found out about something that is written in star charts, just impending situations that are always written in the stars. Now, another key thing happens here with the Khazars, and that is one of them finally gets to an evolution that it decides that, hey, maybe this whole culture that we have is kind of barbarous. Just, we need culture. This is heathenistic. We're fighting each other sometimes. Nothing's ever panning out. So they had people that were already working with them, let's say slaves, if you may, but in this case, more like mercenaries, which are different, okay? And in observing the arts of the mercenaries, like certain religious practices, they decided to adapt those religious practices. And just like that, they stole what today is Christianity. Okay, which is originally an Ethiopic, which just means the place of the black sun, tradition. Okay, and it has a lot to do with this, as you know, and it's all about this process of us coming into our awareness, which is happening now. So we know it's not about a guy, and we know it's not about him, and we know it's not about any of that, right? So why the lies? But a big lie. But how does that resonate with people, okay? Because we're going to go deep. Okay? We're going deeper. How does that resonate, though? Why do you have people so into that? It's like it's genetic. Like Catholicism and Christianity is genetic for people almost, right? Because it's hard-coded. A lot of the words and a lot of the symbols are hard-coded. They just usurped it. The symbols lead one back to self. There are maps themselves. You'll find them inscribed on rocks, which are, once you look at a spiral for long enough, you start to get, hey, maybe this is an energy zone. Let me sit on this and eat some of these plants. Oh, shit. Where am I at? This is the other realm. Can I help you? See, there's more going on, but they want to keep you trapped in here. Okay? Now, we want you to be sovereign. We want you to be free indeed. We want you to be fulfilled. We want you to reach the point of contentment. That means like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I don't even need to leave a footprint. Like I could just go and hang with some of my friends and, do some swimming, build some stuff, learn some things, connect, dial out, come back, go further. Things that real advanced beings do. Not in somewhere working for another person to work, Like the guy said, hey, I saw this thing. It's like the strip club owners, they come and they buy all these wands, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and then the strippers come back the next day and bring them all back into the bank. And this repeats. Rinse, rewind, repeat. Rinse, rewind, repeat. Meanwhile, all the energy is being drained. They said, whoa, when you find money on the floor, that is the sign that you're about to enter into a recession. These are the laws of dynamics of finances, the day the dollar dies. These kind of books that were prophesying a change needing to come because of the clutches that the world is in. Okay, so now that Khazar tradition is important for you to understand because they became masters themselves. They became priests, meaning they studied every single thing about it, but they just turned it upside down. That's why most of those Gothic temples look creepy as hell, because they're inverted versions of who we are. Okay? But they're just inverted. So in this process, we now get a massive situation. Because there's something that is happening here where when you take the Taurus, or the energy of the Taurus, and you invert it, it becomes like destructive, like beyond destructive. It generally drives the host crazy. Okay? But it could also work through multiple beings. And this is what we need to understand about power. It's like if somebody is not balancing the power, then we have really an issue. And this is why the Emerald Tablets did say, O men of Kim, do not betray my knowledge to those others that don't understand this, because they will try to turn it in up the other direction. That's what a nuclear explosion is. But we don't even know if nuclear explosions even happen. We're just saying the knowledge of being able to turn what would be pure life and abundance into destruction and decay, to turn a jungle into a desert, and then to watch the process, or to be responsible for the process. This is not anything in balance. And anybody who thinks it is, anybody who will give it any kind of leeway, is only an ode to how far this thing has gotten before it got shut down. Because it is getting shut down. Like, we will work on the spiritual plane. We will toil night and day. Now that we know what happened. Okay, so what happened? I'm giving you pieces. Man, what direction? I just want you to know this, since we're on the Christian aspect of things, is to understand when I said the first rapture, okay, the first rapture, do you remember all of those boats that were coming over with the tribe of Judah on them in chains, going to the non-promised land? Right? Like, think about this. Okay, in slavery days, if you study that knowledge, if you study, well, who are the tribes that are really inside of the U.S.? Because not all Africans grow beards. And not all people who are dark mean that they've mixed with Europeans either. And even Europeans seem to have had an origin like the Black Russians and the Colchis, that it's really the changes in the climate, which is something I want you to remember right now. The changes in the climate. Like you think that change in climate takes years and thousands of years to affect you? By 3 generations, if you're living in, first it was hot and now it's super cold, you get different color eyes, you get different everything. Why? Because it's the layers of your skin. Okay? The layers of your skin, the more layers that you need, right? That also kind of connects with how many cycles you've also been here. Right? But when you come in first, you come in sometime in the cold. Or when you're out in the ends, you're in the cold. So the colors there are actually more towards the light blues, the blondes, the white. Okay? These are different parts of the spectrum. So I want you to understand, though, that in this process, we all built a civilization where every single thing was connected. The entire grid of all the races. And you just floated through, right? This may sound is vast to you. Just dial it in. As you were floating through the current like a fish, right? But not every fish attacking you and all the imbalances. Like a fish, you were going through the schools of the university. Okay, so you would literally go through these different constellations as you were rolling with the current, either in the mothership or in your boat, and you would have these different experiences. And this is what the original system was. And you would have these experiences, especially even as different kind of fleshly forms, because the temples on the planet, like the ones in Angkor Wat, many of the different temples are configured to bring out a certain kind of being. So these were literally the portals, okay, for you to go through your experience. The portals are down, okay? The portals have been taken offline. Now, there's so many layers to this. There's so many layers because some people are, well, how did the portals get taken offline? And I even have an answer for that, but I can't dive there right now. I have to let you see already the first rapture. The first rapture. So these boats, the Moo, the Dragon, the Brittany. If you remember, okay, so let me put it together for you. So for those who are not up on the tribe, even though what's deeper than the 12 tribes of Israel, which are all men, is the 12 lost tribes that are all women. Like the Kapoa Indians and the Amazonian Indian women, female tribes, okay? Imagine, there's almost no knowledge. All you see is Wonder Woman left, okay? So they'll deliver you 12 tribes of males, but they ain't even telling it. And there's some hidden tribes, but they won't say nothing about the 12 tribes of females when the entire culture, right, the entire Judaistic culture bases itself on a matriarchal line, right? Everybody knows who they are based on their mother in that tradition. So, but who changed that? So, okay, so now continuing into this, the Khazars have a plan of enslaving the entire tribe, one particular tribe, just enslave the entire tribe. Okay, this is an actual thing. And so this Messiah, if you may, or many people coming through saying, look, y'all need to get ready to get out of here because this guy is talking about enslaving, they're talking about enslaving everybody. Okay, now some people laugh. They're like, okay, that's all you need to tell me. And others was like, no, they're not. You always get those, right? So when it starts popping off, and I'm just explaining something to you that we have to dive in episode like that, when it starts popping off, the people flee. They leave Jerusalem. All these areas where all the Holy Land and all that, these are all areas that these ancient Orientals are in there practicing these traditions. So now they're fleeing one particular tribe in this case. And Khazars are pursuing them. And this is what I was saying. And that's why I'm saying everything just clicks because people have heard shows from me where saying, like, I don't understand Why is it that the Zionists want to follow us around all the time and use us? Like use our star power and our energy and make us guide the world into darkness. And what am I talking about? The music industries, the film industries. Why do they always want to have this melanated beauty always up there acting like a fool? So then when we go in public, people are looking like we're going to attack them. Why is it so important to do that? So we got to connect it all today because it's been keeping us all really divided on some fake ass shit. It's all fake because everybody has experienced someone trying to steal their energy. And this is what we're talking about. But they wanted to make an industry out of stealing industry and stealing energy. And they did. Look at the world. It's stolen energy from our mother. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, there is a rapture happening here. Okay? Meaning that these people were not allowed to get into America to become slaves. The ship sank. Shout out to Lupe Fiasco, Waves. I see you, brother. Okay, it clicks because see, if you understand OTO, this is a check, okay? See, in their tradition, the depth of their tradition is Lovecraftian, okay? In the Lovecraftian tradition, they believe in the elder gods and the ancient ones, and the Heralder, who is Cthulhu, okay? Who is only subservient to Ara. So, Great Cthulhu, okay, he creates this whole crazy-ass story about how Great Cthulhu is so destructive, it's like a kraken. And he's the evilest thing, he's the darkest thing, he's the ugliest thing. And then he points all the people that he's trying to teach to worshiping it. Right? He's literally attempting to explain the Yemaya voodoo current. And he's demonizing it, but then encouraging his practitioners and his acolytes to practice it under that debased form. Okay? So meaning that Cthulhu, who is a squid face, you just got to understand what's happening here. Giant cephalopods, Contra, mother brain, massive intellects moving throughout the gelatinous sphere, fully intelligent and connected, okay? Now, how do you know that this is what was going on? How do you know that this is possibly, and I believe for sure, the mother? Because when we dig into Lovecraftian's personal life, which nobody has taken time to do, we find that all of his novels that were written about these dark, evil, ugly beings were about slaves and his problem with black people. He was a staunch racist. And now you realize why Albert Pike followed in his steed. You got to understand. Even before, Eliester Crowley, McGregor Mathers, all the 007, Tubal Cain, John Dee, all of them are following in the steed because they're trying to hide some knowledge. This is why the pyramids, all that was covered because of the cataclysm. Remember, look, they got pictures where the head, let me make sure I'm still broadcasting. The head is the only thing out of the Sphinx, right? Okay, so the head is the only thing out of the Sphinx. Just think about this. So that means most of everything else is covered in something. Something happened. But here's what you need to remember. When they start excavating this, which was kind of by accident, it was like some of the goat herders and things that had, the final successors of the land, the remnant, if you may, they were the ones that were digging and still trying to plunder this city that was underground. And when they started finding some of the big tombs, they were like, yo, we need to call in the British because they got to want to buy this. And when the British saw that, they were like, oh shit, cover this up. Why? Because see, at this point in the world's time, you got to remember that every single thing was designed on a caste system. And see, the caste system is the rules of laws of division. It's the black and white on the checkerboard to keep things divided, the sword, the line in between the black and white. You get it? They're the lines in between the black and the white to keep things from connecting. So, you got to understand. You got to understand. Tonight, I ain't going to leave until you understand. You have to know this. You have to know everything now. We have to take this entire planet to an entirely different stage. Intuitively, many people are already trying to go to the north. If you didn't notice, everybody that's down there in the bottom is trying to get to the top intuitively. Right? Even if it's just walking with their babies and just trying to, I don't know, I'm going to just keep walking. This is all I can do. You got to hear what the world is saying. You have to be in tune. You have to be connected. If I ask you, if you had a chance to take the world to an entirely different level, would you even do it? Some people say, yeah. But they immediately start thinking about their car. They start thinking about things that they spent so long working on. But your work was in vain. You're working for the wrong person. You should have been working for yourself. Now we have basically a 1-year plan to revitalize everything. Quantum solutions. For those who are wondering, I'm getting back to this. Quantum solutions, like I have solutions. Our tribe has solutions for all this. But before we can get to those solutions, you must know. Again, the first rapture, that's why we're saying, hey, I think it's after Judgment Day. See, some people call that Gnosticism. This is like just waking up with amnesia, okay? And after a while, you're like, some stuff just comes to you. And that's why when it clicks, when somebody else says something, it's like, click, 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 click. And the more of us come together, then we're also putting it together. I'm putting mine in, they're putting theirs in, and click, 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 until all of our story, like why all of our temples are shut down, why all of our chakras are shut down, why we're fighting each other like dumbasses, like we would ever win. We would never win. To kill someone, have you killed someone? I mean, you cannot live with killing someone. You need a loop a few times to clear it out of the path. You see what I mean? So get what I'm saying here. There are those who have already done things that it bothers them what they've done. The biggest part of this is this secret. To understand that when the cataclysm happened, which it was like to many cultures, they were not prepared. Just like they say in Noah's days, which they're talking about 200 years ago, 300 years ago. In Noah's days, everybody was partying up until they closed the ark. What does that really mean? What that means is probably even underneath the pyramids, there's a real Zion. Okay? Just like you're talking about in the Matrix, like ancient ancestors just was like, shoot, we already got the beat. Y'all can keep us on the surface. I'm going to head down in there. You see what I mean? Because that's built underneath this structure. But to not know this, to not know where you're from, how could somebody be so dark? What a cruel joke. Anubis, what a cruel joke. Think about this. The reason why I say Anubis. See, because the dog who is playing God, you get the house right. The dog who is playing God. Now, when you look at the British crest on the palace gates, what is that underneath the crown? Somebody please source an image of the crest of Buckingham Palace. While I get some water in here. See some water. I think some water's coming. Thank you. Get my vibration rod. All of this stuff's going to make sense in a minute to you. All by ways of the man of Kim. I went to Kim and cowered them with my vibration rod. You serious? You You serious? You cowered us with the vibration rod? Man, like I said, we have entire civilizations that when the cataclysm hit them, only the remnant survived. And there were those who came that were responsible for taking care of us and waking us up, and they chose to keep us asleep. They chose to take the knowledge of our forefathers and grandmothers, keep it for themselves, and to rule us like they were the gods. That's exactly what happened. Even to be here talking about this, even a person sitting there talking about, oh man, this is crazy. I think this guy, I don't even think there's that many people on this line. Most people know this. But it's like there's a little like film still separating them from really getting it and actionizing what it is that they need to do in their lives to actually expand beyond this framework. Of course, because they need tribe. We need each other. We're connected. But if you're not cleaning your systems up and your customs, if you're not guarding your portals, it's hard to vibrate. It's hard to board a craft. If your vibration is not harmonized, the motherships, when they come, and they always move through, like you get caught up in these motherships and dreams and have massive experiences. This is not something coming. I'm not a antichrist prophet. That's why they love to create all of that shit for you to be dumb. So you don't realize the spiritual connection. That's why they have these people, they're so wise about all that stuff, but they can't turn on the metaphysical side. Like when they get asked about, history maps and all that stuff, they're great on that. But when you look at the diet, where's your diet? Man, I'll run through a wall. I'll punch through everything. Like I run the gauntlet daily. Like I don't eat any meat. It's 16, 17 years. They're talking about vegans. I will throw this entire house over there if I have to. Like there's power coming out of this, but it's in the consciousness and all this melded together. But there were pieces, and that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm so passionate about this. I have a strong will to live, and that will is you. It is you actually turning over this flow, just turning over this conscious and knowledge and connected. So look what happened. So the Khazars was like, look, when they pursued them through Africa, meaning this tribe, because they were gifted. It's a lion tribe. Right? That's why the Sphinx and all that. So they're like, man, we find some lion tribe cats like Michael Jackson. We can get, man, that's all we need is like one of them. So listen, they literally went through Africa trying to pursue them with mercenaries. And because they had a strange tradition and custom, people always knew that, yeah, we kind of know something about there's something weird going on. So, there will be times, especially in Keymakers, where we'll get into all the details about the names that tribe has gone under. But let's just say that they did get pursued. They did get hounded down by dogs who fed their ancestors' bones, who they fed the bones of their ancestors to try to make sure they blot out the memory of who these beings were. It's like the Star Wars story where the Sith know all of where the future Jedi are going to be. This is what they're talking about. This is one tribe. This is what they're saying. Herod, he was trying to kill the firstborn. This is that they just had isolated it in a star that, it's just going to come from there. So we're going to try to wipe everybody out in there. That's in their own Bible. They are Herod. Right? Okay, so peep game though. Because that's what I'm saying. You just need to be aware and in the know and connected to yourself. Because many of those brothers and sisters that was on these ships was like, man, I don't know, man. All of my life I believe one thing, and it just looks like this is going in a totally different direction. I don't really get this and understand this. I understand closing the door and ending an epoch and things, but this is probably going to be treacherous when I get to the other side. What am I talking about? After the Khazars pursued this tribe all the way into Africa, they then tried to put them on boats and send them to America. Whatever is here, which we know is at least Yemaya and Atum, didn't allow that. And this is the biggest key you could ever have, one of the biggest keys. When these ships were pulled down, see, people have to understand this because your ancestors, I don't care who you are, your ancestors were on these ships. This is why many people have a fear of deep water. They have a traumatic experience because not only was there one traumatic experience that took the planet offline for a minute, then another traumatic experience with someone or a group or they trying to capitalize on the remnants of the people that were left, barely trying to develop their civilization, barely getting along. Okay? So what we're talking about here is that in these waters, and this is something that I experienced when I was just out on the beach and I had reached, I don't know, Parthania, some dimension way out there after catching enough breaths, playing around with Acacia, who's drinking only light in the desert, that real burning bush. And I'm looking out at the water and I just see row after row after row after row of ancestors. All in those like silhouette kind of, like they have in the paintings like that. And I'm like, check it out, because this is 100 and something times. I open up Wajette, I know what I'm doing at this stage. Right? So I'm like, man, that's people out there. How does that work? And the only thing I could come up with from that, I was like, I guess water is like somehow the precipitation of souls. Sounds good enough? Yeah. All that water, all that salt, all that crystal. Right? But then there's living beings in there, and that's why we have to do something now. Like, look at the conditions of our oceans. We need quantum solutions now. We are choking out our brothers and sisters in the water. Like, where we would go beyond this. You see what I mean? So this is why the action, it needs to be there. So let's keep going into this. So you have to realize that all of our ancient works say that our mother is like a squid. Like she's like a gigantic octopus. Maybe that's where you get the word pussy from. I don't know. It's like 5 fish. I don't know. I would have to be dumb if I didn't see in the geometry and see, like, if you don't see in the geometry what is going on, you cannot see it. And that's when we walked around, remember years ago when we walked around not knowing what these signs and symbols mean? You remember that? That was like 1,000 years ago. Now when we look at that symbol, it's like, hey, that fish symbol and that yoni, octopus, cephalopods, parthenogenesis, self-regeneration, hermaphrodites? Just Darwin's theory. Oh yeah, really? Darwin's theory? But see how, that's what I mean by your history is written only 200 years ago. The greatest composers. Type that, greatest composers. And then see what you get back in Google. Like no other tribes ever made music. Man, connect the dots. That's what we're doing. But anyway, for those who still want to understand just how deep the connection is with your mother, as the song Waves talks about, as some of those ships sunk and those souls were going down into the water, something came and got them. An entire city. See, this is the connection. And again, you can wait to find it out. You can wait for something official to tell you. Maybe you'll never know. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully this is always in your consciousness to realize. In the deepest level of the occultism, they talk about there being a city in the ocean. And they always say, and Saturn, he rules the Emerald City in the ocean. And Saturn is he's a dark, evil creature. And then when you start realizing who's telling you all of that, you start realizing that, well, maybe that is a big also part of the division. So let's go further. in this city. You mean there's a city in the ocean? So if you talk to ancient African elders, there ain't going to be too many left to tell you about this place, because they refused. They refused to let those souls go to America. And those who did, those were the remnant. Okay, now let me explain very briefly the purpose of the remnant, which is like a fifth column in itself. It is souls that they're warrior souls. Like the way of the peaceful warrior, like Infandishi has. Their martial arts is meditation. I will bring something alive with meditation. He says, "Oh, they kill you." No, I will bring something alive. I will take a fly or something small, to test my power first, and concentrate on that animation and watch those little legs start as they're getting what Dynamo Jack says, it's not electricity, it's chi. And it brings everything back to life. It regenerates it. See, what I'm saying is that there is nothing lost. There is just strata that literally bones disconnecting. They're disconnected between us and our ancestors that are inside of this. And that's why in the Matrix they say, oh, they're borrowing, they're digging. That's probably Elon with the tunnel, the boring company. You see what I mean? California was an island. Check it out. All the gold underneath. People are hearing booms, boom. What the hell is that? Boom, what's going on? Miners, pirates. Our planet is being like they're gutting it out. They got you on oil. Let's see if my mic's good. Is my mic good? My mic making noise? All right. Let's keep going. So, what's important to remember here as we summarize is that there are those amongst us that are aligned to keep a secret. And that secret not only involves free energy and the connection of that to your torus field, it also involves a hyperdimensional connection, a very powerful metaphysical connection with you and your ancestors. So you're basically a child, and you have been kept away from your parents, who never leave you. You're never cut from your umbilical cord. You participated unwillingly in a process where those who were charged to make sure that the knowledge of humanity always returned to humanity may have failed for a short period. They may have placed their trust in something or someone that did not fulfill their promise. There's a broken promise. That has created a broken heart. Okay? I just want you to understand something here, because as a tribe, we all have to heal together. So whoever's even involved in this, we're going to have to heal together. The only way we get through this is talking out. Like, there's a line of people that are watching this television or this YouTube program right now. There are Freemasons on the line right now. There's accepted Freemasons on the line right now. And many of them don't know anything about this at all. They don't know civilization has just been rewritten. They don't know that major cataclysm has taken the world offline, and few physical people survive that cataclysm. We are coming right after that. They don't know that all this ancient knowledge, ancient secrets is not so ancient. This wasn't too long ago that this happened, and this is why you're in this vulnerable state. This is a broken heart, according to mythology. Okay? Now, okay. I guess they finally want to talk about something, because I was just not even going to talk about this. See, what I saw was So sometimes I have these dreams, and they're not like really dreams. It's almost like I just activate somewhere else. And in this case, I activated into a world, and somebody let me into a back door, and I came into a room that was dark, and all the people that were there, or the beings that were there, were all looking at screens. And I noticed that they were actually monitoring us, that their system of time was long enough for one shift in their world, one shift, like you got a 6-hour shift, 8-hour shift, one shift in their world was 24 hours in our world. And I witnessed, without going through the entire vision, once going through this clearly was a ship, when I got to the top, a device, an actual weapon, if you may, that the people who were operating it were operating it in a way, in sheer cowardness also, of dragging energy down. Now just follow me here. Wherever you want to draw it, let's not offend anybody today. Or even the crater model, which is just bones stacked on bones, like a barnacle floating through things. Okay? So, let's imagine that all of what's happening on Earth has an as above version. See, sometimes we try to figure this stuff out on the planet, and we assign people to it, but people can be, in every sense, just hosts. They're like husks themselves for other consciousnesses and life forms, right? Like that's called hive mind kind of mentality, right? But above that, you may see something. You may see something controlling that kind of consciousness and just kind of have that human, like, just as one of its hosts, okay? So imagine then that the only thing that can really allow these kind of hosts to attach, whether it's to you, whether it's to the planet, or anything else, is if you come off balance. If your frequency just goes down, okay? Now, if we use this model, it looked like this, okay? That tilt. Which is, hey, we don't know if we have a tilt, okay? Yes, we do. The tilt is why you're not ambidextrous, okay? Why you can't use both of these like proficiently is because there's something throwing things off balance, okay? And I'm just going to take you up a couple planes to let you see what's happening, because this is how you'll be able to firewall yourself properly. It's like an arrow. That's kind of why in all of those ancient paintings, right? The Hindu gods, they got these arrows, right? And symbolically, what that's about is like a ray in itself of just negative energy, just imbalance. See, they cannot fight us. They cannot defeat us. We can't be defeated. This is what you need to understand. These beings would never face us face to face because we are too powerful. It will only activate more of us to do other different kind of things. Okay? So like cowards. And that's why I said as above, so below. Like cowards, they fire the ray from far off where you can't even see it. Gradually lowering the frequency. Now somebody say, well, that's just, damn, Seven, I was with you until, that's it. Now you're into the alien thing? Okay, so let me put it in the world for you, because I say as above, so below. We're wrestling really against principalities here, but if you want to see it on your physical plane, it is as these members, especially the ones who are aware of what I'm talking about, all of it, just hurting people. This is an abundant planet. There's no scarcity. We got to get out of the city, though. Like, you can't hang out in the city all your life. You see, they won't let go. They won't let the people be free. So now, when the power comes, which is the knowledge and the wisdom, there's no asking to be free. Do you get it? Their gig is up. That's why tonight, this night, is another real massive battle hammer chunk into this creature as far as it being done, of us thinking that the God doesn't bleed, that this thing cannot be abolished. It will be abolished through putting back together, because the only thing you're dealing with is the kids now, and the kids are very powerful. Meaning, even if you look at your 60 or 70-year-old grandma, it's they're like kids still. Nobody's actually developed. They're just themselves coming out of cataclysm. Generally, if you go back 2 to 3 generations, nobody can even tell you about anybody. Think about it. Somebody always says, I got a developed family tree. But yeah, that's all in the nucleus. But none of y'all can keep going back great-great-great-great-grandmother. Nobody can. Why? Because you've been cut off. It's symbolic of your umbilical cord being cut. Now, I won't go as far today to say that this weapon caused this, but paintings seem to indicate that there was a struggle before this occurred. Maybe we actually fought to keep the imbalance from happening. I don't know how, it sounds wild, but it looks like in the paintings that there was a war, but the fallout of that war, the planet took a blow. Boom. It's like hitting a woman, though. It's what you got to understand, man. Think about this stuff. We're living in it, damn it. It challenges you every day to figure it out. Now, let's pause for a minute, okay? Because some people may have just tuned in. Some people may be just figuring out about that I'm even here. And they're hearing all this information come out, and they're maybe thinking, okay, well, maybe this is just somebody talking. And maybe it hasn't seen a decade of proficiency, multiple platforms, connecting with people, creating technologies, diving through books, thousands of works, raising a child, connecting with people. I may have said that already. Lots of connecting happening, empowering, on the shows. Where do you think all that comes from? Is this normal amongst us, amongst tribe? Yes. But it's different, right? No, it's you. Okay? But all the other stuff, like the ClickFunnels, the serial entrepreneurship, the ecosystems, the AI, the neural networks, the relevancy, all this stuff, the heat spots, and all these different things, right? But even deeper, the metamaterials, right? Drinking your mission, right? Like the military, they drink their missions. They drink the fluid. The mission is programmed in the fluid. It goes into the body. Just like when you eat a plant, the plant's minerals know where to go. That's where the heart, that's where the spleen, the body knows about all that already. But they also know you can drink something and it goes right to that part of your brain. You get the idea, you go do it, and then to avoid PTSD, they just zap it out of your brain with a laser to make you forget. And that's Black Ops. Okay? And even deeper beyond that, Hollywood storing all of the films, all the classic films on one drop of water. Read about it, it's there. Even deeper than that, water. All of these technologies that we're seeing all have to do with just coils and salt water. HHO, hydrogen. These kind of things, like water is a fuel. What do you burn? You see what I mean? We have to be here in this perspective of our consciousness for our mothers, for our daughters, for our sons. Now, we must wake up to what's happening and realize the reason why history makes no sense, because it's not true. And that a powerful being can only be in a situation like this if somehow something happened to it. It took a blow. Like great teachers, like I got a chance to sit with Viktoras Kavinskis for a while. Years ago, him and Theodore, Viktoras is still here. Theodore is looking down on it right now, or up on it, depending on where he's at. But these men knew the part of their healing was to know where you had taken damage, where you had been hit. They literally said, as a meteor yourself, you had taken damage. Boom. When you hit other stars, boom. Right? How could that happen? The Milky Way, maybe? You know how they say, well, Milky Way is a blown up planet. When I was tapping into the Milky Way, it was like, yeah, this is all of us, but we're blown up. Now we need to all come back together. How is that going to happen? Electromagnetism, duh. Like some people's like, well, how? How can we put something so maniacal and so diabolical? Didn't I just tell you they're cowards? How could you keep secrets from women and children? What kind of character is that? Do you think that kind of character can stand against a real hero or a real heroine? Do you think that that's even possible? No. But if we fight each other, it works. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it ain't going to be just me talking about this. We're going to change the entire world. And as crazy as it might seem, it's because it is that crazy. Did you not think something to the magnitude of what's happening here when you finally got the story, that the story wouldn't be as wild as what I'm telling you right now, but very plausible? That's why I said, check out Static and Addict, check out the channel, check what he's got, because when we come forward, I'll probably have him on, I'm going to have Martin on, and Keymakers just coming in strong. But it's going to be about also these brothers coming in and sisters coming in, putting also we want the imagery, we want to show you the step-by-step, but I didn't leave you any time. You can go do it tonight. And it'll connect dots for you all over everything. Everything you can explain. It's like, man, my ancestors were strong, man. Like, what did they do? And then you start coming up with these weird-ass stories. Oh, they were dark, must have been. They must have been bad themselves. I guess God decided to punish them. A war. So again, what a broken heart is, and the reason why, because this does not look like a heart. In the human body, the heart doesn't look like this, right? So why does the heart look like this? Because this shape is fine. Okay? This shape, okay, is in everything. Okay? So really what you have is like you have a symbol that's literally saying a broken heart, because a complete heart is 2-5. This is even a mathematical equation. A complete heart, which is the heptagram 7 ventricle hedron, whatever you want to call it, is these two shapes connected together. Okay? So broken heart means they're separated. So what this literally means, just so you know, maybe you don't have to go to years of metaphysics, or maybe you want to be a metaphysicist. What it means is you're divided from your other half, literally. Like literally there's like a film in between you and like what you would call your spirit body or your dream body. And that film is like, that's the interruption. And this interruption is happening, it happens so many ways. I can only talk about how to fix it. First of all, you need to get a will. And before I get into the geometry of the will, it just means have a strong will to live. Have a strong will to live. When they examined every single person that was capable of really doing something that changed everything, this was the key component. You have to have a strong will to live. Know that your ancestors are here. They are probably inside of the earth, as wild as it may sound. But at minimum, they're the bones. Okay? And that's what I was saying in the beginning. That's the skull and the bone. The skull and the bones is the planet is deemed as a skull, and then all the bones on top of it. Now, when you see that, if you've ever seen occult imagery, you see these kind of symbols. But what does it really mean? Listen, they're scared of it now. This is why every single thing that is the deepest level of knowledge has this dark, fear, demonic story around it. But Geronimo's head is right there, or Indian's head is right there. Then they try to demonize that. What are we talking about? So let's talk about it. Oh, I guess they got going under the bus. So let's just understand westward expansion. And this is just a short process. And again, you can check out the brother to get more than this, but it just makes sense. Now, according to where this Mayflower or whatever lands, the territory that they're coming into, let's say, is on this side of the Mississippi. And I'm, just get all the details from them, but just some common sense. And all that's over here is today what you would call Hindus. Indians, which we already discovered had been migrating because Brahmins were the real superhuman, etc. Go towards the north, Himalayas, up high in the mountains, the cold, overcome, Like all of that is about going north and going to these higher lands, right? Because still in the lower lands, it's always shaky. It's like the legs of a snake. Like it just is. Like the lower lands are always like you get the deepest lessons there. It's like the feet of the planet and the wombs are there. But there's an idea, if you may, to always go to the north. People symbolically want to go into the crown chakra, right? So you got to understand that this entire territory that you're calling United States was completely populated. And you know this. But not overpopulated and not cities, right? If there was any cities, it was just the spiritual powers because everybody in there was dialed in with the land. So you can't come with this story that everybody was fighting each other in a territory that was so vast. If you wanted to right now never see anybody again, there are some places in Costa Rica that you can go to. In Texas, there's some places that you can go to. So you can't convince me that everybody in this massive wanderlust is having a problem with each other. And this is a thing we have to check about our misinterpretation of our history. Where we're supposed to be savages and heathens fighting each other over what? We're not even touching the gold. The gold is running all down the streams. It's like, you would look silly like walking back with all of it. They're like, Embodied, what are you doing? It's like, I'm bling bling. No, it wouldn't happen because all of that was just abundant. Just get what's happening, right? Get the misunderstandings. Now, I'm not going to give you all the play-by-play of history, but a dummy will tell you and can tell you if somehow these people ended up wiping out everything. They could not have done that by themselves because the only people on this boat were like Protestants and Quakers and different people they were fleeing from other countries. You see what I mean? So what you had was different groups that had aligned themselves with Britain, aligned themselves. Britain, you're just getting it today. Like I told you, Anubis, we told you, just do one thing. That's why you got to put the in the mouth. That means remind us. I'm telling you, the queens of England and Britain and even in the world, because they're all connected into societies now, have chosen, literally, they know this. They know you just came out of Kaiser. They know you're magnificent and powerful. They know your ancestors are even probably in the earth. They know that there's a whole grid that we can put back together. They know that it would ascend our souls. They know that the planet would line up. They know that this thing will go in full spin just like a gyroscope. They know that all of the old, dark, dense things will perfect themselves. And they know that the crystal light kingdom, which all the lovely light workers have been praying for the last 500 years, will come online. But you have to do something. You have to bring it in. Like, see, we talk about understand. I'm not talking about going out here. What are you going to do? You need a gun? You're going to play an opposite inverted war that they're calling Saturnalian? Look how they turn Father's knowledge upside down. And inverting an obtuse. Taking lead, which begins with an L. Putting it in a gun, which looks like an L. Which means life. And creating death with it. This is all that's happening. And now it's got us, like Pac said, I bet you got it twisted. You don't know who to trust. Now we don't know who to trust. Every time a person comes around, or every time somebody says something, we're like, he's probably working with them. I guess it doesn't help with this outfit on, right? But that's just to challenge you, to get you to see this is not a game. We are wrestling with principalities here. People are hurting now, at borders, hungry now. And you're sitting back throwing money on the floor. I'm talking about these ballers and cats. I saw a recording. They had the strip club full of ones all over the place. You got women with no money, no food, no nothing. And no, you don't got no heroes. No heroes in the land. I sent emails out to people who are supposed to be key figures sitting on my Facebook. I sent them all an email. I got to copy and paste all 7 of them. Supposed to be big timers. Not one of them responded about what we can do about bringing this awareness about this free energy and this sovereignty, and to be this polished. Do you understand how polished we are? Meaning, we're not just one of those networks or channels that just popped up on YouTube. We have hosted thousands of souls across the gap of the abyss. When the world had abandoned them, when your dog mother didn't even care about you. That's why they call it dogma. What does that mean? It's direct. Your mother's a dog. She's a surrogate. Romulus and Remus. Wolves. Right? That's what they want to model themselves after. And then they're stealing that because the wolves were noble. The wolves was like protecting things. They take every single thing. Okay? But it is a part of this that has a lot to do with genetic manipulation. Because if you want to say, well, why? How is this happening? Genetic manipulation. The same thing that you can't take our plants and start splicing them with other plants and expect that out in the world. That's not going to create something. This is a fully connected ecosystem. What am I talking about? Botany. Chemistry, alchemy. You need to know what you're doing in there. But there were freaks created. Plants that, it's like the Venus flytrap. It's a carnivore. You got to get Little Shop of Horrors, damn it. I was thinking about the other day. I was like, why the hell is Little Shop of Horrors so important? Meaning, because it was in my mind from a little kid. Feed me, Seymour. What the hell is that about? It's a genetic manipulation, a plant eating meat. Man, y'all ain't ready, man. Y'all ain't ready, man. Or maybe you are. I'm here for both types. Okay? So that's what this is about. Expected unexpected. I jumped in here on a Friday. I had a lot to do. Like, we actually had this massive thing that we're working on, and it's coming to a culmination. And, there's some links obviously being shared in the chat of what we're doing, because obviously when we come in, we're very proficient. So we're not just coming with and do this and do that. What this is about is this is the truth. And there's only one way to express the truth. When we come in and we dial into this framework of this fake-ass matrix, which has so many of our brothers and sisters, even when I email them about getting some assistance, like, man, I haven't been talking to nobody. I haven't asked anybody for anything beyond what they want to do. That's the other thing. It's like, when you think about somebody begging and asking, please help us do this, that's not the energy. What we're saying is we can do this. We are capable of doing this. But we need the resources. We need the fuel. It creates an ability to speed up time. Of course we could do it ourselves, but is that really what you came here for? For me to do it? Come on! Think about it. You had a part in this. You did something. That's what I'm saying. It all connects. It's a way, because you look at the system, the monetary systems, because of the cryptocurrency is already available, and they're already ready to get their KYCs going on, which is always strange. All that's already flowing. You see the devils on the fault line on the shaky market. Remember when he said that? That's what's kind of happening. You see it happening, not kind of. Fed raised the reserve. Who's the Fed? Those are. Why? Because everybody's a slave. Now he wants to keep them in fear and keep them fighting. Now we hate the Chinese. Now who do you hate? We hate everybody. Got this joke in the White House. Trump. Man, we need bigger trump cards. Like somebody need to pull a bigger card. Bam! Get into it. Start realizing how much power you have. Like I said, your ancestors, you're standing on them. They're empowering you from your souls. Your soles and your feet are touching, but you don't know what you're connecting to. And it's important that you do. It's important. Now. There's an ant walking around there. I'm just trying to keep from pummeling him. He's like, hey, I got a request. Tell us about the ant queen and why there's like one queen like per every 100,000 ants. Facts. Okay, listen. Just like Marco Rodin was pointing out, energy moves even to the point so precisely like a number. And at every single point, you get an anomaly, like a unique thing. And all its responsibility is, what is the queen's role? To birth more beings so that the whole thing can keep flowing. That's the only purpose of the unique thing. So you think the unique thing is where they want to be all the time. And yeah, it has its benefits. But man, it requires that you bring it. Think about the queen ant. She's got to bring it every single day, birthing those babies. Every single day sending those signals. Every single day harmonizing with other tribes or going to war. But that is the true role. We have some people sitting up, acting like they're the king and queens. It won't even give us the time of day. Literally, what time is it? Mr. Swiss man, what time is it? You have this clock. It's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can you tell me what time it is? Can you read the stars? Can you give us the time? You see what I mean? That's what I mean by we trusted someone, and unfortunately they failed us. But we knew that. And that's how it goes, you see? Because in the end of the game, the king and the pawn go back in the same box. And the actions that you take are the actions that you make. Meaning that everybody is dialing up their own next primordial soup, if you didn't know. So just because you were actually encouraged to do the wrong thing, well, I best you straighten up then. Meaning that for all those that are on the line, do not be thinking that any of those rules and pacts and oaths and edicts hold anything on your ancestors. See, since they had you connected, thinking you that they were the source and even connected you to their eidolon, meaning that just an idea of what things are, and those ideas have been false. And you now know that they're false. So now what's most important to do is disconnect your energy. Do not obey Operation 66. Operation 66 in Freemasonry is a time when all Freemasons are encouraged to carry out what they're told to carry out, whether it is a package in the mail that they're to pour in the soap, or whether it is the feed that they're supposed to give their cows, or whether it is a needle that you're supposed to put in our kid's arm. Do not take that order. It will seal your fate. This is it. This is now the last process. This is, if you clowned all the way up until this point, you were one of those people that stayed at the club all the way to the end, but boy, you better sober up now. Let it weigh on you to incite other brothers and sisters to be aware, initiated or uninitiated, that all bets are off. All oaths are off. Why? There has been a lie amongst us. There is a liar amongst us. Meaning those who are born in it. Meaning there are people who are natural savants in spirituality and then went and jumped into some society. Right? Because they wanted to hone in. They think it's X-Men. They think they're going to meet Xavier in there. That's why all the Masonic symbols and all that stuff is all X-Men. They think they're going to go in there and meet friends and, figure out their powers, right? That's what the myth they sell. Do they get that? No. Where are you going to get something? From yourself. So, wholeness and balance vibrations, everyone. We will be into this in just a little bit. We have a lot on our plate. Keymakers is coming. I felt it very imperative that I got in here today and just gave you a primer. Just a primer to, obviously, anytime you come with something like this, awareness like this, it must match your actions. This is what we need to remember, that we're not like pastors that sit in churches. We're like nomads. We move because the energy keeps us moving. See what I mean? It's like, think about it. We're talking about Kundalini. You think I could sit somewhere for too long? I'm constantly on the move. If not, I'm on a treadmill somewhere and pull it up like 1,000 times, and everybody's like, and you're doing this on avocados. We're going to find some meat. I'm like, no, man, it's like serious. There's something weird about the avocado. I guess it's like the fat. It sends a signal to the brain, and the brain doesn't want to eat anymore because you don't really even need the food. But then you just got to like go through the process of the body and the mind coming off the idea that it needs it. And that may take 10 years, but after a while, it works. And then what do you get for reward? Something like this. I can go through every single system of knowledge. They can't, now it's stacking high now as far as just how much awareness I actually have about what is really going on. But there must be a charge. See, you can't sit in with this kind of knowledge and again, that strong will to live, like, you know what? I connected it. That's it. I totally get it now. Everywhere we go, whether you're black, whether you're white, I don't care who you are, whether you're Carolingian, whatever you are, your culture just faces destruction. Go look. Like, I'm here in Costa Rica, I see it's like everybody's stuff is like all out of place. Like the balls are all over the place. It's like, that ball's supposed to be over there. It's like, so this happened when these are ruins? It's a little fresh to be a ruin, but I guess since they say it's a ruin, I guess, okay, so another level now is, okay, so it looks like the land is just moved, but not too long ago. But how long did it take to let it move? Or 1 million years? Okay, continental drift, 30 billion years? Okay, well shit, that can be sometime soon. How long did it take the sun to blow up? 1 trillion years? So I think at this point, since we know that those other numbers in the past are not accurate, supernova time also number may not be as accurate as we think. Yeah, let's take a moment and pause for that. You think about that, like every number that they're giving about these 200 million years since the dinosaurs, when people are reporting seeing large birds, you know, flying out of the ocean, still large creatures still hanging around, right? How much do you really know? You know nothing. You know nothing. Which is great. Like Yoda, who's Judah, right? The green one, Osiris sitting on the throne, right? That's Judah, Yoda, right? They know that's where all the knowledge came from. Yahoo! This is what they're doing with the words now. What did he say? You've learned. Now you must unlearn. So there's this process that we just went through where we've learned every single thing under the sun, but the right thing. Literally, we've learned so much, but these little pieces have been kept. And it's almost like if the pieces were given to us first, it kind of spoils a life of turmoil. And that's what I was saying about mindful kids. Like this is stuff that we're still writing up. I got to now write this stuff for everybody. Do all the graphics for everybody. And then do all the work for everybody. Okay, cool, I'm good. I'm driven. I'm going to do it. But mindful kids, when you're teaching children mud flood, you're teaching children torus field, you're teaching children road and mathematics, and just that, not everything else, putting it in a format 1 to 8, 8 to 16, and then you can pretty much catch anybody from there because the adults be like, yay, I get it now. So it's not that hard, but you gotta mobilize. That's why we're going in. That's why I'm calling everybody now. this is it. All the wires, all the chips. Even if it was going to go on beyond this, I wouldn't want it to go on in this stage. I know we have an existence that's greater. I've experienced it. I've experienced the love and the compassion of others. I've been in ceremonies and seeing the connection of the energy. I've blasted my brains out in neophyteness and utilizing the aspects of occultism and non-atomics and plants and all that. And I've seen so many things, but have you seen? See, because something is wired different with how it was created. And it's, if you're not seeing it, then I'm not really enjoying it. And I always felt like that was strange. It was like the gift and the curse. It would literally be like I would be enjoying it, and then I'd be like, but my brothers and sisters. And I started doing that on the low levels. And then when I started working my way to the high levels in the metaphysics, I found that it was way more difficult to get people to realize just how expanding we can really become, because you had to enter another space. When I was talking about money and finances and getting everybody paid, they were there. They were dedicated. They were having money. Like, hey, man, how much money we need? When you start talking about assisting others, they think it's a charity. You know, man, you're investing in us. You're investing in all of us. Either way, like I said, it's going to happen. And it's happening already. So, you know me, I have a hard time saying goodbye. So this is what I'm going to do. Since it's Friday night, though, and I'm like one of those Friday night kind of guys, I'm going to take a moment and see it's getting pretty lit in the chat. I wonder where's my moderators. Where's the moderators? No. Yeah, I guess I should probably go to work. I got a lot of stuff to do. I've been wanting to, I've just been wanting to connect. Like, there's been so many things that I've been experiencing and diving through and creating, and this is a real thing with Tribe. It's like we all connect in such a special way, and every time a new person comes on board, we just feel, we feel that much more stronger and that much more connected. And I feel like, I know that the more of us make this connection, it is literally like a fiber that we're all able to walk through, like a bridge. And the disconnections that we face, because you see a lot of people, they're losing it right now. It's like I'm gonna kill myself. I'm like, man, that's like vampire talk, man. What do you really got to say? Hey, watch this, man. Like, but it's just like there's a necessity for us to live as tribes. Now, here's another connection. Let me show you something. Remember, like, this whole living in the city thing and outside of a tribe setting is not like normal at all. And in fact, we've only been doing it for a very, very short period, a lot less time than we think. We just came out of a tribe setting. So this would account for a lot of the dysfunctionalism that's happening. Like, one of the things that were pointed out about the school system is about how children are put in class with children their own age, rather than children that are either a little older than them so they can mentor them, which mainly that, right? But they're put in there with this one teacher that's an adult. And then all the kids together, so they never get a chance to learn from each other. Versus in the tribe, you're watching the older kid like, yeah, when I get older, I'm gonna build me one of those too. And then you even try to, like, hey, and he pushes you off, and you're like, hey, okay, I'll sit back here and watch. But you see, there's a connection that happens between older children and younger children. And that's, of course, what we're, again, mindful kids. It's bringing in those kinds of aspects. It's like also the parents trying to homeschool, lots of hours and time in homeschool. It's the reason why kids put parents put their children on iPads and parents put their children in babysitters. They need I gotta go work. I need some time off, right? But what if you have your brothers and sisters going through another lesson about how to construct the consciousness properly of this great being? Because now you can see why the greatest value was kids. It wasn't to make them farm, silly, in the angry culture. Come on, man, we're in the permaculture. They're in the angry culture, killing the animals, everything's all angry. So they weren't ready, well, the more children you have, the more they fork the farm. No, that's not what was going on. When you have a child and you activate that being, boy, we all gonna ride. It's serious. Think about it. It's all the time a new being activated, and they're coming into that first poof of their light. So imagine just being in the audience. Like some people, they be hating when you try to shine on them, but just being in the audience, it's like poof. And then being a part of awakening that uniqueness and that shine. So that way that person can start digging deeper into this. Like, this is the mother of all fears. The mother of all conspiracies is what we're talking about right here. So it takes many brothers and sisters, like the actual model of the system and how it runs from the clock level. That's the hyperdimensional clock, right? Martin Kinney, on the ground, addressing it. Like some people may even say, so what's up with you and Brother Sanchez? Well, I can always count on Brother Sanchez to be real. That's one thing that I value higher than anything. Like, if something's going on and some shit's really happening and Brother Sanchez is there, I can count on that he has not been compromised, because that is not a compromisable kind of being, right? So there's that brother. Then you got Aurora over there, still working with fourth dimension and fifth dimension, still working on that heart space. You see what I mean? That when it's finally, after we've lit this whole thing up, when it's time to cool off for a while, into that nice, jeweled out, steamed up realm of wonderfulness, like getting that all prepared, that space. You see what I mean? Then you got the deep divers. Our brothers out there like Ryan, still on those journeys, working on healing those bones and those people that are still in the strata. What are the waterfalls, right? That's where the breakages happen. Like, we were on journeys looking at the stones, and they were bones. I saw people in there like this, like Mayan people. I was like, man, this is not me, man. I'm not tripping. I see this, but I don't know why. Well, because the entire thing is like a pyre itself of bones, shells upon shells, calcium upon calcium, quartz upon quartz, and then developing into more stages, gas. Like, even all of this what we call darkness, badness, right? All that's the mineralization. It dirties the white. Like they said, the Kaaba used to be white, and then it was stained from man's sins. What is sin? It's the moon. It's the dreams. It's the energy. It's the experience. It's the mistakes. The mistakes must happen for the experiment to be perfect. Every time we get in on one of these machines here, every time we are testing the tolerance, we know our first one is going to be a mistake, because we need to see the error in the machine. So is our world any different? Can it have a period where it just comes offline, makes a mistake? Right? Like, think about it. Like, even Atum and Yemaya, can a mistake be made in there? Like, are we all so beyond reproach? Man, like, wake up. And you are awake. And that's how it happens. So, yeah. I guess that's enough to, I guess, you could still catch that late night if you're trying to at this point. You may be actually in one of those things, just listening to this on your iPhone. So I want to give some final pointers and just some awareness to what's going on. Final pointers is that, this all is central to intake, okay? So if it sounded complex to you, if you didn't know what we're talking about, that's probably because, maybe you're just coming in, you didn't catch any of the previous episodes of the consistent build. So you have a treasure waiting on you, which is always great. Right? Because there's actually something that you can learn from, something you can grow from, something that you can actually experience and becomes a value to you, because we gave what was priceless to us and we put it there, right? So that's what you have. You're just coming in, right? So now for those that are in this and have been in this, because this is a decade now, we are actionizing now the greatest, what I feel personally is the greatest event of this year. We're just putting it at that. And that is bringing our ecosystem online, so we are not, it's just a simple thing. If the foundation is shaky, right? Take a moment. Is the foundation shaky? Like, is the government and the world foundation, I'm talking about where you're getting your money, where you're getting your energy, is it shaky? I guess this is a crazy time to talk about that because they may be cutting off food stamps for a lot of people next month. And even if they don't, they succeed in scaring the shit out of everybody. That's shaky. Now, you got your kids on it. And if for those of them, well, I don't have any kids, everybody is your kid. So you got your kids on this, and it's shaky, and we ain't going to actionize. We're going to just let it go on, right? So there would have to be a methodical approach. There would have to be a way. There's always a solution before a problem. See, let me crack into some deeper level of knowledge for you real quick so you could just erase every single thing that I just talked about and just remember one thing tonight. I always talk about how the solution exists before the problem. Is everybody aware of that? I always say, hey, the solution exists before the problem, just as the sun exists before the shadow, because the sun must cast light and then the shadow appears. Okay? So there's some people who want to argue that, but let's just keep going with this. Solution exists before the problem. So what exactly existed before humans? Like before the human body, like what was there? Plants. Plants. They're our cousins. They have all the solutions. They existed before us. That's why there's plants like 1,000 years, 2,000 years. Like they lived through all that shit. It's like, yeah, I got it, man. I understand. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for like a type 2 UFO or, humensis? What are you looking for? See, if we weren't so confined and separated from our family, then we would have already met our cousins. And I'll just close the conversation with that is that no. Tribe has got your back, your front, your left, your right, your up, your down, any of those other directions. It's coming online. This is why a lot of your favorite teachers seem to be like, it's like either they're channeling each other, they're copying each other, or a little bit of both. And it's just because there's a transmission coming through this line. It is not noise, it is the signal. And this signal is transmitting truth. It has risen in itself, meaning that there was a chain, a link in the chain. They call it weakest link, right? There's a reason why they talk about that, but there was a link in the chain that did not keep the general cycle of life continuing properly. Because we're not experiencing sadness. We're not experiencing death. We're transitioning into a phase that we already know we're going. We're so anxious to get to that phase. It's like, come on, let me die, man. Let me die. And they're like, man, you got to be out there, man, and learn all of that. It's like, come on, man. And don't kill yourself. You're like, if you kill yourself, you're forfeit the whole thing. No, I'm just joking, but serious. It's like, think about everybody is going to leave here. Do it with dignity. Meaning, live this life. You're not going to have that many, much of these men. And just like anything, I will tell you from the bottom and the top of my heart, just like anything that you get, if you don't really appreciate it, you're going to miss it when it's gone. See, there's a lot of people, they're going to miss. They're going to miss this place. They're going to miss all of its beauty and all of its joy and its laughter. And then there are some that are always going to be with it. Because they're not going to be separated. So this is what I'm attempting to explain to you. If you don't like what has been created and what has been given life, then you don't like yourself. And if you see a distortion, be there. Be there to perfect it. That's why you were given what you were given. Maybe you got a little bit more in your plate. Push it over into another plate. A plate that doesn't have anything on it. You see what I mean? Like all these things, it's like, I feel like that a lot of times because our core group is a lot of the people that are on this line, they make up probably 80% maybe. Sometimes these messages are for that 20%, to be honest. Because when I talk to people that are already in the tribe, it almost feels like I'm talking at them, not with them. Because they understand all of this. We are here. We broadcast every single day with this beacon to keep shining full spectrum light, the real bridge See, now that I know everything, I'm just not getting home. I just took the download. Like, I've been on the road. I had headaches for 48 hours because the moon's phase and the energy is so strong. The moon is out in the daytime and stuff, astrological changes are happening. Stuff's going on in my body. And I'm like, man, I just trying to get on YouTube to get the message to the people to let them know, man, understand the connection. Be empowered. Realize, like, schisms in your life. Let's talk about, like, slaves, etc. Your ancestors, many of your ancestors went home and are there waiting. I'm talking about your ancient ancestors. When you start talking about great-great-great-great-great-great-grandma, that's where great-great-great-great-grandma is. They already took her home. They would not allow her to go to America because the promise, and that's what I'm saying, the first rapture already happened. Let me just close down with this, because the reason why it's most important for you to realize that is because that's why I was saying we're after Judgment Day. See, because these scriptures that they're writing are only just recounting the stars. We know this, but we just have pieces missing. We don't know what's really being talked about. But now that we know what's really being talked about, we know what's just being accounted for are periods that we go through, like ascension processes. Okay? That's what's being accounted. And then you have overarching terms like Christ consciousness that actually just equal reaching a certain stage, or everyone reaching a certain stage, right? So just to realize for ourselves, man, and all of us together, just to realize that we have 3,600 more years before another great upheaval as far as like the planet cleaning itself. And just because it looks like it needs to be clean, and it does definitely need to be clean, but just because it looks like it's old and needs to be clean from your consciousness, it's actually already just went through that process. And now, this next 1,000 years, possibly, very short period, will be bringing the temple online, which you can only do within yourself first. But when the world brings their structures back online, then that's the day that they say the dead are raised. Okay, now I'm just giving it to you as it's coming to me. Now remember, they're talking about like the bones somehow start coming back up and animating themselves during this period. This is what, some people, I may have to desist from this, because it's like the more you go further out, you're like, man, this is good sci-fi, but damn, do you believe this? Absolutely. Because once you've gone through thousands and thousands of experiences, and once you've seen so many parts of it, but still been very logical, like you must have like the ruler there in order to not lose yourself in the chasm, especially if you don't have someone there that's going to be able to catch you and bring you back. So I've always gone with the pace, like the bird box, like with the cord, right? Like I've always gone through the plane, even sometimes blind in different spaces, not knowing what I was going to face and what I was going to discover, but willing to go. Even this conversation, like now I got to call Freemasons out. It's like, come on, man. You mean to tell me? Like, you see what I mean? But somebody's got to do that. And also remember, it's not like I'm like 200 subscribers or 100 subscribers or 50 subscribers. And the spiritual magnitude is not like this can't be trumpeted across the entire cosmos by myself and those that are with me. And so that's why it's also so powerful and central to us to just get everybody aligned, get everybody aware of themselves, get everybody in action and accountable, like, checking in on you, seeing what's going on. You know what I mean? Your next mission, if you may, and getting everything lined up for you, your uniqueness, which is what Ennealogy is, getting your unique self into a stage where you're producing fruit again, your fruit, not somebody else's. This is what this ecosystem does. Rewards you for your activity and your presence. Connecting with the children, getting them educated. Probably nobody is even thinking about this. Everybody's like, now, save yourself! Save yourself! They're in save yourself mode. I'm just showing up. Like, why is everybody always running when I show up? It's like, that's just interesting. But serious, you come onto these planets and you got these jerks in high positions holding the throat of the planet. This is the kind of thing you show up to, brotherhood, sisterhood. So get to it. Wholeness and balanced vibrations. Thank you so much for being a part. It's always an amazing time every time that we connect. I trust that we'll be able to continuously grow more as always. And I just want to say that it all does start with you having a very strong will to exist. And this is more than enough actionable reason. Let's put these temples back online inside of ourselves first. As we say, innerstand. Get yourself inside, standing up. Come back from the cossus of your spine. Come into your throne. You're great. I mean, there's no denying that. You even got beings that are sneaking around, hitting you with arrows and rays and stuff just to try to slow you down. And even that can't hold you. So, but accept that. And again, all these trolls and stuff that you be seeing, man, that's probably AI. Like, don't let that stuff throw you off, because like a lot of times when you're seeing this stuff that's in this chat, and then, you know, you feel like because you connect to the message and then this thing says something that is opposite to what you're thinking, even you two try to deploy these kind of things just to encourage more talking in the chat. Like, just for stupid reason, they test out stuff like this. I'm just saying, like, be aware and be alert. Do not shift your energy for no one. That is how you are sovereign, is that nobody can make you happy or sad. Right? Like, think about this. Like, and also all this knowledge that I'm giving you in this connection, I'm doing from a very clear heart space. But it is up to you to take that information and filter it properly to what you can accept and what you can bring through your portals at this stage. And just count on me as always, that person that you know is just going to go way out there just to see exactly how much we can bring in of the jewels of humanity, because we've been robbed. Like, if you think about it, it's like serious, like all of our time being dedicated to building things that are continuously holding us back is not going to get us. Only an insane person, nobody of intelligence, would do that for too long. You would become a co-conspirator. You see how, like, they always want to throw somebody in jail when they start affiliating with other people? For affiliating with these people, I could get thrown in cosmic jail if I went on with this story. You see what I mean? Like, think about what we're aiding and abetting here in this reality by continuously purchasing these dirty foods and keeping these people wealthy that are killing more children. Like, but here's another thing. If you want to put your mind into a greater space, think about just the reward that is in the cosmos right now for the being that is capable of changing this with love. Meaning that that's the only force that I know that can drown out anything. Compassion can drown out anything. I don't care how fiery it thinks it is. So the reality is that still, the same rules that they developed here, that wasn't even their rules. There are rewards. Okay? Think about it. There are rewards for beings who bring systems like this into balance and put things in place. And again, many of you so-called society members have been put into different places in order to bring about change at specific times. That time is now. Now the secrets have been laid bare. They've killed Hiram Abith. And those that are actually initiated know what I'm talking about. This literally means that these people are responsible for making sure that we didn't have the secrets and then came out to everybody and acting like that we never knew the secrets. And this is heresy. This is blasphemy. This is every single thing. This is the greatest atrocity, period, on this sector of the cosmos. And I challenge every man and every woman that is spiritually inclined to connect with the knowledge about understanding what has happened on this planet not too long ago. Get your what's, when's, why's, where's, and who's done. The wilderness. Get out of the wilderness of your mind by getting all your questions answered, because that's what's happening. This is what we're going to do in Keymakers too. Get your questions lined up. Get your stuff out of what you feel like you need to know for you to make this decision to connect. Black people, white people, get your questions that you feel like you need to ask before you need to connect. So you can connect, so I can show you that every single thing that is going on with all of us is by design for us to destroy ourselves continuously into an immortal being.
to an immortal being, if you keep destroying yourself over and over and over again, you will be converted to the dark side. What does that mean? You will become a nighttime being. Like basically you will become a predator. So people need to understand what's going on. You have a real system that is sitting here showing you that there's a light side of the beings, light sides of the animals. Like you ever seen a gazelle and the white gazelles and all those eagles and all, if you see these kind of imagery, what it shows you is that there's a gradual also degradation of the soul if encouraged to not continuously expand. So I'm just saying, I don't want to see you as a cockroach flying around here and accidentally step on you because you kept falling down the ladder eating chicken grease. What I'm saying is that this is the time that you've been put still in a level of awareness that nobody really has. This is scarce. Do something with it. You have the most valuable thing, wholeness.